The episode opens with a lively graduation festival at a middle school. Amid the celebrations, the protagonist, Aijo, nervously confesses his feelings to a girl named Ashikawa. However, she rejects him outright. Later, after school, Aijo is found crying in front of his friend, lamenting that this was his 100th rejection. His friend, absolutely flabbergasted that Aijo kept going after 99 L's, jokingly hands him a graduation certificate for successfully speedrunning rejection. On his way home, Ijo visits a shrine and prays for his rom-com dreams to come true. As he does, a mysterious voice reassures him not to worry, as he is about to meet his destined partner. Suddenly, a man's head pops out of the shrine, startling Ijo. Unimpressed by the dramatic entrance, Ijo questions why a divine being would appear so creepily. The mysterious figure, claiming to be a god, declares that Ijo will soon encounter his fated romantic partner in high school. Ijo's inner thoughts take a questionable turn, imagining all sorts of scenarios. However, the god clarifies that it is nothing indecent. He is simply about to meet his soulmate. According to the god, every destined pair has a moment when their paths cross. Curious, Ijo inquires about those who remain single forever. The god solemnly explains that not everyone is fortunate enough to have a soulmate, but those who don't are still luckier than they realize. The conversation takes an unexpected turn when the god reveals that Ijo isn't destined to meet just one soulmate. He is fated to meet 100 of them. Stunned, Ijo listens as the god proudly drops, "What young man wouldn't want his own personal dating sim harem?" Ijo, trying to act cool, blushes harder than a malfunctioning traffic light but is internally losing his mind. However, he skeptically questions if the god is lying. Days pass, and Ijo enrolls in Ohana no Mitsu High School. On the day of the entrance ceremony, Ijo heads to pick up a school rule book, but collides with two stunning girls. The moment their eyes met, an instant spark ignited between all three of them, as if an invisible force had drawn them together. Each of them felt the same overwhelming rush of emotions, an undeniable connection that transcended logic. One of the girls, in an exaggerated dramatic move, falls in a seductive pose, claiming to have twisted her ankle and requesting Ijo to carry her to the nurse's office. While he is in awe of his apparent luck, the second girl, seeing the first's tactics, panics, and fakes an ankle injury as well. Ijo, overwhelmed by the situation, punches himself in excitement, only to realize both girls were faking it. Nevertheless, they remain incredibly clingy, holding onto him as they walk toward their classroom. As they continue, the trio overhears two girls discussing a school love myth. If someone finds a four-leaf clover in the courtyard and confesses, their confession will be accepted. The two girls, now aware of this, rush toward the courtyard with a plan in mind. Hours later, long after school has ended, Ijo, who had been delayed helping a teacher find his lost glasses, wonders if he will see those two again. Peering outside, he spots them frantically searching for four-leaf clovers. Approaching the blonde girl, he hands her a juice can, acknowledging her effort without her asking. Flustered, she comes up with a ridiculous excuse that she was merely looking for a spot to relieve herself rather than searching for the clover. Ijo, unfazed, questions in which world it would be more acceptable to urinate in public than to search for a lucky clover. The girl, caught off guard, blushes and accepts the juice, running away in embarrassment. Just as she leaves, the second girl arrives, giving Ijo no time to breathe. She takes a different approach, asking to share the juice with him since the bottle is too big for her. Ijo, at first too smooth-brained to realize, suddenly clocks that she's setting up the classic anime indirect kiss moment and nearly short circuits. The girl, not wanting to give up, cleverly argues that splitting the juice would still leave the larger can with slightly more volume than the smaller one, subtly pressuring him. At this point, Ijo begins to suspect that she is the cunning mastermind of the duo. Just as he is about to respond, the blonde girl returns, this time with an armful of juice cans, declaring her affection. Now, both girls openly confess their feelings, putting Ijo in an impossible situation. That night, he reflects on what to do and seeks advice from an old shrine keeper. Old Gramps, with the wisdom of a man who's seen way too much anime, drops an absolute lore dump. Ijo can't just pick one because both are his certified soulmates, no takebacks. The reason behind this? The entire situation was caused by the old man watching a heavenly romance anime at the exact moment Aijo was born. Furthermore, if Aijo were to date only one girl, the other would die, as both are his destined partners. Determined to keep both girls in his life, decides to ask them out together using the school love myth as a pretext. Gathering his courage, he presents them each with a four-leaf clover, referencing the school legend, and asks them both out at the same time. To his surprise, instead of outright rejecting him, both girls hesitate. The pink haired girl is more open to the idea, while the blonde is flustered but doesn't immediately refuse. Using the school's secret charm as an assist, Ijo prepares himself for the inevitable confrontation. He explains his disheveled state and surprisingly receives help from the same teacher whose glasses he had helped find. Sneaking back into school after hours, Ijo finally confesses his predicament to the girls. While the blonde girl initially hesitates, the pink haired girl is surprisingly open to the idea of sharing. And thus, Ijo embarks on a wild journey as a two-timer. But hold up, this anime ain't ending anytime soon, because our boy still has 98 more soulmates speedrunning their way into his life. The second episode kicks off with Rentarou dreaming about the rom-com life he's about to dive into. Just as he's lost in his thoughts, both of his girlfriends show up. Hikari, wasting no time, grabs his hand, making our MC blush like a malfunctioning radiator. Karena, our feisty blonde, sees this and absolutely loses it. But Rentarou, ever the gentleman, offers her his other hand, balancing out the chaos. The trio struts into the school, all of them rocking the dumbest, love-struck expressions on their faces. Two random guys standing nearby take one look and immediately label them as weirdos. Inside, absolute mayhem unfolds. A kid sprints down the corridor, and right behind him, a creepy-looking figure is speedrunning after him like Sonic on Red Bull. That's the VP, and rumor has it, if she catches you running in the hallway, you get the infamous Mamacita French kiss of death. No one's ever recovered. Good luck escaping, buddy. Meanwhile, Hikari turns to Rentarou and asks if he's ever had his first kiss. Since they're both his first ever girlfriends, the answer is no. Now, both girls immediately decide that they should be the ones to claim it. And just like that, the war for Rentarou's lips begins. The scene shifts to lunch on the rooftop where the girls take turns competing for his attention. Hikari, going full waifu mode, pulls out a specially prepared bento and starts feeding Rentarou by hand. Kareni, not about to take this L, grabs a cracker from her own box and shoves it straight into his eye. Absolute sniper-level precision. Then Hikari ups the stakes. She pulls out a box of Pocky sticks for them to share. But there's a catch. The sticks don't have the usual part to hold them, so she hatches an insane plan, mouth-to-mouth feeding. Just as Hikari and Rentarou are about to seal the deal, Kareni grabs a stick with her own mouth and dives in too. Except she completely misses and pokes him in the eye instead, breaking the kiss. As Hikari stumbles, Kareni sees her chance. She grabs Rentarou's face and asks if he has a fever, using this as a big brain excuse to check his temperature with a kiss. But just before she can land it, Hikari, packing those big melons, slams into them, breaking them apart. The rivalry continues until Rentarou, finally catching on, realizes that they're both just fighting over his first kiss. At this point, he goes full 200 IQ mode and comes up with a plan where he can kiss both of them, but no one will know who went first, including himself. Here's the setup. 1. The girls roll a dice. The one with the higher number stands to the right, the lower to the left. 2. Rentarou blindfolds himself, puts in earplugs, and rolls his own dice. 3. He walks towards the number closest to his own roll and kisses that girl first, then immediately kisses the second girl. 4. The girls roll again to change positions, then they all remove their blindfolds, and boom, nobody knows who was first. In theory, flawless. In practice, a complete disaster. After multiple failed attempts, Rentarou blames himself for being unable to land a single kiss and straight up runs out of there. In pure desperation, he calls for the Sonic Speed Hedgehog VP, hoping she'll end his misery with that legendary French kiss of death. VP accepts the challenge, chasing him down the hallway at light speed and pinning him to the ground. Just when it seems like Rentarou is done for, Karane grabs the VP last second, holding her back. Meanwhile, Hikari calls in reinforcements, framing the VP as a creep in action to a person nearby outside the window, successfully saving Rentarou's lips from the kiss of doom. But the other dude wasn't so lucky. After the chaos settles, both girls tell Rentarou that instead of pulling off that insane plan, he could have just kissed either of them normally because they love him. Feeling emotional, Rentarou hugs both of them, realizing that this crazy relationship might actually work. The final scene shifts back to the rooftop, where he proposes the ultimate solution, a three-way kiss. That way, they don't have to fight and they can all share their first kiss together. At first, the girls hesitate as they will kiss each other too, but eventually they agree. And just like that, Rentarou, the absolute madman, pulls off a three-way kiss. One step closer to managing a 100 girlfriend harem on fire. Since you liked the video, make sure hit that subscribe so that I can fund my college. Signing off, your Jerry.